Rage on that beat, going crazy.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Who Are They? Real Talk. Once again, I am Matt, and joining me as always with a partner in crime is the one and the only underdog himself, Nick Mulbach.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
It's going all right.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Am I in now? I was.
You were in before.
I was adding our link merch to the video. As we speak, our live stream, you can go into the link in our bio in about a minute or two, and you can buy our merch if you really like what you see. We really appreciate it. As you can see by the trailer, we got lots and lots of really cool stuff that you could buy. And yeah, definitely interested in everybody just kind of checking that out, seeing what they like. And if they want to buy some stuff, we would really appreciate it.
Yes. And he's got Lou with him today, but that's not all we got. Joining us once again, and as always, is the host of Really Scared himself, Taylor Clee.
That's me.
Is that the plug master?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I am the plug master.
You thought I was going to say something else there, and I didn't.
Here it is. It's flashing on the screen because it's me, and I'm here. How you doing, guys?
How's it going, buddy? Long time no see. Oh, hello.
What's up? How you doing? Welcome to the show.
How's it going, fuck daddy?
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching and tuning in tonight.
Yes. And we got a very interesting show. We're going to talk a little bit about Comic-Con from home, just the news that dropped this week, and then we're going to talk about, which is perfect because it's the four of us here, filmmaking theory, basically, and all that goes with that, whether it's writing, actually being on set, things like that. So, yeah, as independent filmmakers, it's nice to just have an episode where you can just talk about that stuff. And occasionally we will have episodes where we just talk about that instead of having a debate discussion and the other sense that we've done in the past.
Yeah.
It's good to just chill and talk about stuff you enjoy.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. But yeah.
Also, again, if you refresh your page, our link to our merch is now live in the bio. I just want to let everybody know that.
That's on YouTube.
Yeah, on YouTube. Sorry. Yeah. Go on.
But yeah, it's about to be a.
Right, George, plug master. Tonight we've got some Kentucky cream ale aged in bourbon barrels.
Ooh.
I have water.
The true old fashioned.
Aged in water.
Aged in plastic.
And the springs of Lake Minnetonka.
The bottle was made in China.
What a cultural beverage you have there.
Yeah.
But we got a lot to talk about. We do have another special guest joining us because we want to test some stuff out and talk some of the things that was going on. They're probably going to be able to help me talk about Comic-Con at home because, as far as I know, they actually watched a decent amount of it like I did. So.
Sweet Lou has arrived. And he's got his Tommy Bling shirt. This is a
his Tommy Bling
Oh,
shirt.
wow.
The shirt that I am currently wearing was a
Is a custom piece
gift for us, but
Yes.
there is something similar on the website.
Yes.
I know that we've seen a decent amount of people actually go out and grab a couple of things. I know that a lot of it has been Tommy Bling merch because he's the man.
It's fantastic.
But I hate to keep bringing it up, but I just want to say thank you for everybody who has supported it so far, and we look forward to seeing more of you walking around in Rager shirts.
Yes, and remember,
Absolutely.
the 20% discount code right now is Real Scared, REELSCRD 20. Real Scared 20 is the discount code for 20% off. So
There you go, baby. Get 20% off.
Comfortable too.
yes, they are. But joining us right now,
I gotta say, I've got a couple.
Go ahead, Taylor.
I was going to say they're great, comfortable fits, and those T-shirts we got, man. I've got a couple, and they fit great.
It's nice and cool.
Yeah, it's all there, and it's a black shirt, and it's real hot out. That could get real nasty real quick. But no, man,
Yeah.
I'm enjoying my Watt Teespring merchandise.
Yeah, it's very nice. And joining us is our special guest who's coming in to test out his new setup, but also just talk a little bit about Comic-Con at home because I know he watched it and I watched it, and we can shed a little bit of light on the stuff that we saw and what we thought about the experience. So, being on screen for once in front of camera instead of behind the comments is the one and the only George Thomas.
Hey, welcome aboard.
Howdy. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Absolutely. The setup looks good.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
How you doing tonight, George?
I'm all right. I'll be here for a few minutes.
Yep.
You should probably turn down the Guardians of the Galaxy in the background, huh?
Yeah,
Not a bad idea.
I don't think we have the rights to that.
The Zuck might take us down.
Yes, that sucked. But
The Zuck and the Iger.
Oh yeah, the Iger.
the Iger. No, the Feige. The Feige.
And the Feiges. It's
Oh
got to
my
be
God.
said.
Never mind. We're just nobody speak a single word. We don't know who's going to take our video now.
But no, this weekend was Comic-Con at home. I know that some of us did watch some panels, and some of us just had a good old time enjoying what we could from it. But
I only watched one panel. Yeah, so
yeah, I watched a few. I watched the New Mutants panel, the Star Trek panel, the Avatar: The Last Airbender panel, and yeah, I think that was about it. There wasn't a lot they really offered. A lot of the panels I did want to watch and participate in were yesterday, but we had previous engagements, and I kind of glad we had those previous engagements.
yeah, where's that bottle of booze?
In the bar.
Great.
But
Comic-Con at home.
Comic-Con at home, yeah. It was nice, but overall the experience was meh. I mean, you could tell the majority of these panels were pre-recorded, probably like the day or two before, and it wasn't anything special. I mean, the biggest news we found out, and we'll talk about this in a minute, is Bill and Ted is going to be released simultaneously on VOD in theaters. Yay. There was a Star Trek Lower Decks preview, which I know George right here can tell us a little bit more about that, because I missed that portion of it because I had to go out and about and take care of some business. But yeah, it was interesting to say the least. What do you got to say about Star Trek Lower Decks?
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
It looks, man. Look, bottom line is this, okay? If you're going to do Star Trek animation, you need to do it in the vein of one of the actual television series. They're going for a comedic effect in this case. If they're going to do animation, they need to go full Rick and Morty on it, as far as I'm concerned. Will I watch? Maybe. It didn't seem to be very compelling to me. I'm sure they got the idea from an episode of Next Generation called Coinky Dinky, Lower Decks. which is considered one of the classic episodes from the 7th season, if I'm not mistaken. They've got some interesting voice talent, Dawn Lewis being one. You guys are too young to know who Dawn Lewis is. Think A Different World. Yeah, I am getting blank stares. Okay, that's good. I am. But I'm not jumping for joy over that one. I don't get into table reads, so the Discovery stuff was meh.
Yeah.
They should have. Show me something. Show me what you got, because there's film stuff available for them to tease to get you excited about something related to this.
We've had a season 3 teaser already, so you know season 3 is coming soon. I don't know.
That wasn't a teaser. That was like a fart.
Oh man,
there was nothing substantive there, and it's been rehashed to death. Give me something new. If you're trying to attract this online audience to keep this tradition going, I want something new. I want something to chew on. You know, you look at the footage from Discovery, and it would eventually be the same slideshow that people on Comic Rant have put together for the last 10 months now. So
I'm talking about the trailer we got a couple months ago.
Yeah, man, it was a teaser. It was a fart.
It was a fart.
Yeah.
It was. There's nothing there. There's no there.
I thought you were talking about the art and whatnot they showed during the panel for the
Oh, yes.
I'm talking about the teaser trailer, which is, again, noxious gas. So now that
Some Wharf Group right there.
it really didn't do much as a diehard Trekker. Trekker. As a diehard Trekker, it did not a lot for me. I'm not particularly excited about anything at this point. So hey,
wow, that's not good.
No, it's not. But,
what did you think of the Picard part, season 1 in review?
I saw season 1. I didn't need a review.
I was gonna say, if you've watched it, what's the point?
I realized they were reaching for some of this content they put together, but come on, what direction it was going to go to? Is Picard going to go through? Now, mind you, if you're being honest about Picard, it had serious growing pains. It was very uneven. I enjoyed it for the most part, but it was stop and start, or start and stop, and that's what it did for its 10-episode run. Now, maybe they'll find a consistent groove with the second season. We'll see. They're supposed to be bringing Whoopi Goldberg back as Guinan. My boy Michael Dorn better show up as Worf. Gotta have Michael Dorn. But again, it's like Comic-Con, you break news. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they didn't
you
break
have to remember that a lot of the big players are not there anymore because they all have their own cons and stuff like that they want to do. Like, you know, I always remember that we're going to be watching Marvel panels and DC panels, and they're all doing their own thing. Obviously, Marvel absorbed into 23, and then that for DC. So it's just like, I feel like this Comic-Con, and I wonder if this is going to be a problem moving forward for Comic-Con, is that it's going to be underwhelming for those reasons, that these properties don't need to go to Comic-Con to show their stuff. I mean, Hall H was such a big deal for me, you know, over the past 10 years of just seeing all these really cool things and all these things being announced. And I feel like Hall H is going to be more, I feel like Comic-Con is going to become more television based, which I don't know if that's necessarily the route that I would want it to go. I didn't really see a hell of a lot when it came to movies. I mean, obviously we got New Mutants, we got Bill and Ted, but
we did have that new Marvel show, Hellstrom. That we had a trailer for that.
Oh, I haven't even heard of this.
What is that?
One thing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Hellstrom is like I didn't do a lot of research. I didn't even get a chance to watch the trailer. Actually, the first time I heard about it was when I was doing the research for the Comic-Con plugs for the end of Really Scared. But it's like the supernatural Marvel TV show, and it's going to be on Hulu. So,
I didn't even heard about that.
All the years I've been covering movies, the one thing you need to know and understand, if the studios can usurp it and monetize it, they will. It's what you're seeing happening with streaming right now, with HBO Max and Time Warner and Peacock, with NBC Universal and Viacom CBS with Paramount. I notice that they all have a huge movie studio behind them, and this is the next evolution. I think with Comic-Con, the emphasis in the future will likely be on the comics part more than movies and probably television, given the way things are diverging.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think Nick was bringing that up, and that is a perfect point. You want to look at stuff like fandom with DC, and you want to look at stuff like D23 with Disney, where they just do all their stuff, and then Celebration even is one of those things where, hey, you want all the Star Wars news? We're dropping it right here. This is going to be that weekend you get that. So,
and even D23, they're doing it there. So yeah. I just feel like Comic-Con, and trust me, hey, for it to return to comic book roots would definitely be intriguing to me, just because
that's what a lot of people would want.
Mm-hmm. I've never really been able to experience it as purely that before. But yeah, I feel like as underwhelming as this might have been, it probably was going to be just as underwhelming if COVID never happened.
You think so?
Fair point.
Well, because
a lot of the studios weren't there. Yeah, a lot of Marvel made it known they weren't going to be there. DC made it known they weren't going to be there. So you were going to rely heavily on studios announcing their normal type movies that weren't tied to superheroes at all.
But see, Marvel only had Black Widow coming out this year, so in a way that
Black Widow would have already been out at that point.
Exactly. So that makes sense.
Well, they had Eternals. They had Eternals and the 2 Marvel TV shows.
So
yeah, schedules have been disrupted. That's a good point, Nick, because I definitely noticed that this was I didn't watch it, so I wasn't around the clock coverage on it, but I did expect a slew of interesting news and topics to come out of it, and I feel like we didn't really get that. And my assumption was that we just lost the traditional format. Also, there's the consequence of people don't even know when stuff's coming out anymore. So
right, yeah.
Should we start marketing it now? Should we wait? But no, that's an interesting point. That even if it had been traditionally done, and we were in the midst of all of this, it sounds like a lot of the star players wouldn't have been there this year.
I mean, there was the Constantine panel yesterday, and from what it sounded like, it was just them begging to make Constantine 2, talking about what their Constantine 2 would have been and how Jesus would have been brought into it and things like that. So,
oh no way,
Jesus,
yeah,
that's good because Keanu could just be double cast and also.
But no, it was just one of those things. You're like, well, that was as Venom said, a turd in the wind. Damn. Yeah, it came and went. The biggest news we got was Bill and Ted, like I said, and we'll dive into that. But the funny thing that happened though is Kevin Smith was cursing on his panel so much that he got most of his panel bleeped out.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Yeah, so that
I don't fucking care.
Oh, George.
Really? They censored the panels?
They censored his, apparently.
That's silly. If you're bringing Kevin Smith in, you know what you're getting.
Well, because it was being live. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it was being live streamed. So hey, maybe they were. And I think IGN was the one in charge of the live streams.
Little babies.
Yeah, that's silly. Well, so what was his panel? Just it was like a mall rats or
He always does a panel at Comic-Con where he just talks comics, his films, all that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, if you're getting that experience, you know what you're signing up for. He's gonna go. He's gonna show up super baked and tell some explicit stories. You know, it's
sure would have hurt my.
What you pay him for?
I don't know about you, but
I mean, that's when he told the story about how he got to visit the episode 7 set and how he only got to visit it by complete accident. So,
Star Wars.
Hey, yeah, but no, this other piece of news, I know George can give some thoughts into it. DC Universe announced they're ending their yearly subscriptions.
What?
Who saw this coming?
$90 less a year I have to pay. Cool.
Yeah, they're ending their yearly subscription and switching to monthly. Just another nail in the DC Universe coffin. Just
it's not really a nail. All that content, or most of that content, is going to HBO Max.
Yeah, realistically, you're just going to lose you're going to lose comics. That's what you're going to end up losing.
But see, if they were wise and they hold on to DC Comics as a unit, they just transfer that too and give it. You've seen how HBO Max is. Everything has its own island.
They got stuff.
You give the fans a DC Comics island, and there's no problem. It's not difficult to do.
I mean, that would be a good way to bring fans over, because that was one of the big things that was a seller for that. And granted, the app was so niche to begin with. But because it was just
yeah.
I'm glad we got 2 years out of it.
Yeah.
Hey, 2 years.
You didn't pay for it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I got to confuse the Thomas family by watching Super Friends on it.
Who the fuck?
Yeah, I just get like a text from Matt. It's like, hey, did you watch Super Friends on our DC Universe account? I'm like, hell yeah, I did. I watched the episode that I had on VHS when I was younger.
Wait, did you need a dollop of 70s cheese or what?
Absolutely, yeah.
Those things are, you look back in those things and they're horrific.
Okay.
You're just a big Wonder Twins fan, right?
That's right.
Oh my God. And those were on when I was a kid, and I was there every Saturday morning.
Oh, wow.
Bowl of Captain Crunch. Bowl of Captain Crunch in front of the TV. Yep. Neatest thing in the world. And then you look back now and it's like, what the fuck?
DC Universe app.
A bottle of water.
Realistically, there's only 3 shows we haven't heard the future of when it comes to that app, and that is Titans, Young Justice, and Harley Quinn. Now, 2 of those you can all but guarantee are going to HBO Max. I don't know about Young Justice. I wouldn't be surprised if it makes the move to Max. But Harley Quinn and Titans, it would be foolish not to move them to HBO Max. And Nick, you've seen the majority of the first season of Harley Quinn. You've seen episodes of Titans. Yeah. Like that's HBO type quality content. So,
yeah, I mean, they're going to be put on there. I mean, it depends on whether HBO starts to get Netflixy and just cancels things, even if people enjoy it. That just seems to be a streaming thing.
AT&T has a lot of debt to pay down, my friend. A lot of debt. They're going to be bottom line oriented for a while. And that was a big fear when they bought Time Warner and put their thumb into HBO, because HBO pretty much, with the exception of the cancellation of vinyl a couple years back, which really pissed me off, they pretty much let their shows alone and let them run their course. And I don't know if AT&T is going to allow that, simply because they have a huge debt load. They can't afford to waste money right now until those subscriber numbers are up. And number 2, those subscriber numbers aren't getting up until they get a deal with Amazon Fire TV and Roku.
Yeah.
Which they're pulling all the HBO apps from Roku.
Hey, I just bought a different streaming device. No puzzle.
Yeah.
Your mic got very loud there, and you were being very loud, so that just was like double play right there.
No, but yeah, HBO pulling all of its apps from Roku. HBO Now, HBO Go, all of it getting pulled, gone. So it's just like, hey, yeah.
Well, HBO is still going to be on Roku. That's the HBO app is still going to be there. That's a way for them to play nice and try to negotiate in good faith, I guess. But allegedly, it's supposed to still be there.
Okay, because you told me earlier this week.
No. They basically told Amazon to go screw themselves. Okay. You're not getting any HBO, nothing. Nobody likes Jeff Bezos. Nobody.
True that.
Yeah, but
your opinion on Lex Luthor?
All right.
I love Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
What? Was it something I said?
No, he's just calling
Lex Luthor.
Yeah, isn't that good for DC? You know.
Yeah, that's pretty damn close.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, right now I'm missing HBO's original content because if it weren't for COVID right now, we'd probably be starting season 2 of Euphoria right now. I'm dying for another season of Barry. I'm dying for another season of Righteous Gemstones, which, Lou, I know you and I have had a few conversations about that show. Right now, all they got for me is Perry Mason and a ton of DC movies that I already own on disc, like Shazam, Aquaman, and Wonder Woman. They don't have the stuff that I don't own. They took something like Steel off that I wanted to watch for the cheese.
Bring it.
The what? Huh?
The cheese.
Steel. The cheese.
Shaquille O'Neal starring.
Oh my god!
Juicy Shaq cheese.
Sometimes we need that cheese.
Why'd they lose it though? Like, who took it from them?
I don't know, but
the print of that thing should be fucking burned.
But it's just it's a part of that revolving door.
Is Kazam going to be put on there?
It's not even
Kazam is actually on Disney Plus right now because that was a Fox film.
Shazam. The other one.
Kazam is on Disney Plus.
Kazam's one with Sinbad.
Oh, Kazam is even worse.
The other one, yeah.
Kazam is even worse than Steel, if that's possible.
Oh, I think Kazam's fantastic. Shaq raps in it. This is great.
I was always a fan of Shaq Fu.
Shaq Fu.
Shaq Fu, that's a hell of a game, right?
Yeah, that's
Right, and right now you can go to Papa John's and get the Shaq-a-roni pizza. So
Oh yeah, you can get the Shaq-a-roni pizza.
Wait, that's a
Like,
thing?
never mind what their pizza tastes like, but it tastes like
All right, I'm
it's
going.
bigger.
Get some Shaq wrong.
Give me one of those little garlic butter sauces, and I'll be fine.
Yeah, but no, it's like right. They took the original 4 Batman movies off there, which granted I own the 2 that I'd want to own out of it.
That's disrespectful to Schumacher. How dare they?
he put nipples on the batsuit. Fuck it.
Because he was a hero, and Matt Reeves will put nipples back on if he
Taylor,
knows
fun
good
fact. Taylor, fun fact. $10 million of each of those movies' budgets went towards the costume department.
I don't doubt it. You gotta
Because
put
Joel
those.
Schumacher, before he was a director, was a costume designer.
That's right. And they want those Happy Meal sales. So they're
Yeah,
like
they wanted those sales.
10 costume changes, 10 cars, 20
Oh
nipples.
God! I actually right before the show, I finished watching Batman and Robin with Jen because she really wanted to watch it after Batman Forever.
Did
And
she regret it?
Oh, she apologized for making me sit through 2 hours of trash.
Oh, come on now.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
She called Mr. Freeze the original dad jokester. I was like, damn.
Mr. Freeze is an icon.
Yeah, really.
In Batman the animated series, he is.
Yes, he is. And
Pictures of him today.
Yeah.
I mean, one of his last lines is "Take 2 of these and call me in the morning." Ha, ha, ha. I was like, oh God, I did not understand that as a kid, and now I do, and I hate this even more.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, I got to look at Uma Thurman and Alicia Silverstone though, so that made me happy. I was like, okay. But yeah,
Neither one of those do much for me, but okay.
I like seeing Schwarzenegger in his fuzzy slippers.
you like seeing like shiny blue Schwarzenegger?
Love shiny blue Schwarzenegger.
I don't know if I could tell anybody this right now, but I think the Ragers should cosplay.
Oh yeah.
Well, hopefully he's watching and heard you say that.
Yeah, there you go.
Who should
Yeah.
Who should cosplay?
The
I don't
Rager.
know.
Go watch the Really Trivia Showdown to find out who he is.
Hit it.
I ain't got all that much
Yeah.
time.
There you go.
Got a little plug master action.
But no, I know you got your own thing to do right now, so I'm gonna let you go, George. Thank you for popping on.
Thanks for
What's this
coming.
George shit?
I ain't calling you dad on my own show. Peace.
You just did.
Fix your microphone.
Bye, George. Thanks for joining us.
Love you, Mr. Thomas.
Sorry, you
Fix
just
your
got
microphone so it doesn't like destroy
It just does that randomly. It does it randomly. I can't control it. But yeah, so moving on to the rest of the news, we got some video game movie news that is also biopic news.
This is the one
And
you're talking
that
about. Oh,
is Taron Egerton will be taking on the Tetris biopic, talking about the creation of Tetris and the
it's a
Yeah.
biopic? I thought
It's a
I thought they
biopic.
were just making a Tetris movie.
Yeah,
no, it's a biopic.
That makes more sense, I
I'm
guess.
It's about the creation of Tetris, and Taron Egerton is.
I'm gonna isolate whatever Lou and I were just doing. There, FYI.
There's gonna be a reaction to everything.
Damn.
George beckons from beyond the stage. Yeah, no, I just read the headline for this and definitely absolutely assumed it was just somehow a Tetris movie because some studio would try that shit.
It's a pixel sequel.
It tells the story of a Cold War era legal battle that took place surrounding the intellectual property for the legendary video game. Taron Egerton will play Hank Rogers, who eventually won the rights to Tetris for himself, and the man who originally created the game, who spent years fighting several different parties before he ended up getting paid.
Who's going to play the piece?
I guess that sounds like a movie. I'd rather see how they were going to figure out the lore and plot of Tetris, but that makes more sense. That sounds like a conventional story that you would care about.
Yeah, but if that's successful, and then we get that lore of Tetris movie.
They could Jumanji it and send them into the cartridge.
As Elton John.
Oh, God. But no,
That'd be great.
You put Taron Egerton in anything, and I'm going to watch it. So
yeah, sure.
I'm kind of there now.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
I mean, I've been a fan of his since Kingsman. I'm like, oh, this is good. Eddie the Eagle, this is great. Kingsman 2, that's okay, but I'll still watch it because it's just fun and bloody. And then you got Rocket Man, which is his.
I don't get it.
I'm just saying it was spelled Hank in the movie in the synopsis I read. So hey, he's comparing Hank Rogers to Ray Kroc, the creator of McDonald's.
Oh yes. Okay.
Oh, Keaton movie.
The Keaton movie, the founder. Yeah. Great film.
What other video game like biopics could they make? This is an interesting new subgenre.
Pac-Man?
What about like the Atari ET story, where it's the worst game of all time, and there's a like massive dump landfill where they are now full of cartridges of ET for Atari.
Hold on. How about the Lion King Sega game?
You want the biopic of that?
Yeah.
What about Sonic 06?
What about Mario?
Yeah.
Just actually like it's actually Mario.
Just Mario movie?
We're making a
biopic.
Mario.
I think it takes place in the city, and then
Mario is a real
Bowser,
person, dude. I don't know what you're talking about.
And then Bowser is like a mob boss. I think that would be a good idea.
What movie is starring my brother is what I'm wondering.
The Mario movie?
The Mario movie starring
God.
There you go. You spelled our last name wrong. So
no.
It's commonly misspelled like that.
Yeah.
It's shown up in some movies before. Anyways,
yeah.
Go on.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, Taron Egerton put him in everything. I'm going to watch it. It's just how it is. But we got another biopic, and I probably should have kept George on for this one because it's an 80s icon biopic starring James Franco. That's right. The artist everyone wanted a movie for. I said Dave Franco.
Oh, I thought you said James.
No. Starring about the pop icon everyone wanted a biopic for, Vanilla Ice.
God.
Oh no.
Yeah, because everyone was clamoring for a Vanilla Ice movie.
I mean, listen, it could be good.
There was already a Vanilla Ice movie, so this would be.
Oh, Cold as Ice?
Yeah,
hell yeah,
Cold
dude.
as Ice.
Cold as Ice is a freaking classic.
Come on, get with a hero. Get with a hero.
It's a John Trump video, if anybody.
Why a Vanilla Ice movie? Did we ever really need a Vanilla Ice movie?
Yes.
If I don't see some TMNT2 Ninja Rap, I don't care about it.
Who do you cast to play Vanilla Ice?
They already casted Dave Franco.
Oh, I missed that part. Dave Franco.
Dave Franco.
Kind of looks like him. I mean,
I can see that.
He's a good actor.
He's pretty
good. And I look forward to seeing how he is as a director when I watch The Rental and talk about it this upcoming Thursday on Really Scared.
Please put it over Vanilla Ice.
Okay, put it over Vanilla Ice. Oh, I can't.
It can't be done. We don't have the technology.
We don't have double over it.
That will happen though. We will figure it out.
I want a Plugmaster shirt, but it has Vanilla Ice behind it.
Oh, Jesus Christ! No.
That's my next.
I want a
merch request.
vanilla ice.
Or as Jessica says, Plug Master.
Plug it up.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Well, no.
But
I
yeah,
just
Vanilla Ice, man. I would imagine that it's probably going to be a movie about how he basically stole
Under Pressure
from Queen, and then somebody else stole it from him.
No. See, because Under Pressure goes da 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 da.
Oh,
And
if he doesn't.
his song goes da 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 da. There's like,
Oh, no.
an interview.
Oh, no.
There's an interview of him doing that.
If that's not in the it's
dun dun. It's got that too high beats. He doesn't have the too high beats. He just goes into ice, baby.
Yeah, there's
No,
an interview of him
that
actually
interview
doing that.
Instinctively, he says da 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 da, but there's a snare. It goes tss, right there, and that's what makes it different. I remember the interview exactly, and I hope that gets like shown in the movie. And he's trying to explain his way out of stealing Under Pressure, which one of the best bass riffs ever. Can't steal it from John Deacon.
I gotta say, you want to know the most memorable thing for me from Vanilla Ice outside of that song and the Ninja Rap are when he was in Adam Sandler's "That's My Boy" talking about every time that song gets played, I owe money.
I hope there's the scene. There's the other thing I know about Suge Knight. I hope there's a scene, or not Suge Knight. No, Vanilla Ice was that Suge Knight apparently dangled him upside down off of a balcony because he like owed him money.
Well, yeah, it was for that song. He got the rights to. I think he got the rights to Ice Ice Baby somehow or something like that. And
really?
Yeah.
Did Vanilla Ice sign with Death Row? I don't recall.
I don't believe that's a thing. But he made like a rock. Like a metalcore rap album as well, so I hope that gets explored.
I don't doubt that at all.
You know what? I'm gonna watch that movie.
Oh,
yeah.
There's so many ways that it could go, and that's what I'm so excited about.
Top picks. Put that down. That's one of my locks.
I need Franco to go full Egerton and sing Ice Ice Baby himself.
I'm sure he'll be able to.
I don't think that it's hard to sing that song.
I'm sure he'll be able to pull it off if he really studies for it.
He doesn't have to train like that much, so it's not an opera. So
you throw that hair on him, oh man, he's gonna look fly.
This could be good. I feel like it's gonna have to be some sort of like semi-satirical take, just because it's Dave Franco. I don't know, getting like disaster artist vibes. Suge Knight, upstanding citizen through the years.
Oh,
I just like I don't know though. I wonder if there actually really is an intriguing plot to this movie.
I mean, he's the butt of the joke, right? Like Vanilla Ice always has been, but that's a story, right? You can figure out.
End up being like Uncut Gems, honestly, right? Like he owes money to everybody.
I mean, there you go. Safety Brothers.
Everybody, I think that'll be a great story.
Yeah,
you know, just seeing how he's kind of a joke in the whole entire game. You know.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that he had substance abuse problems that they'll probably explore in it, because I think that he was in like one of those celebrity rehab shows. I know he's clean now, I believe, which obviously
it's gonna be
great
Rocket
for
Man.
him. I was gonna say we're getting a Vanilla Ice Rocket Man. That's got to be what it is.
I could get into that because I could get into a music biopic, because like obviously it was something about Elton John. He's this revered icon. Everybody, he's beloved. Vanilla Ice has none of that acclaim. So interesting. Again,
well,
Dave Franco
he has acclaim in the wrong way.
Yeah, he's infamous, is what he is.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a different flavor of movie. And again, I just get like disaster artist vibes off this because
I was
Franco
about to say that. Like it's going to be a disaster artist, but for a music icon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Icon.
He is an icon.
Yeah.
Maybe again for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
But
does he have a Funko Pop yet?
no.
He will soon.
We should get on that.
Wait, I think he does actually.
You're not an icon until you got a Funko Pop, I think.
They have Funko Pop icons. Let's see.
Well, Ray has one.
Yeah, Ray's Liver and Onions has a pop figure.
Well, clearly.
It's custom made. But
One
still,
custom.
he does.
There is no Vanilla Ice Funko Pop just yet.
Well, there will be now.
Yes, there will be now.
How could they make a Justin Bieber before they made a
Vanilla Ice?
Unbelievable.
I hope they have a special chase of Suge Knight dangling him off a balcony upside down.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I would stand in line to get that. I would order that from Comic-Con's website.
Oh, speaking of that, how about the fact that Comic-Con's Funko Shop exclusives, the site crashed and then apparently everything sold out. In the 30 seconds that it took for it to crash, everything sold out, because that makes sense.
Yeah, well, those Funko people are a different breed, man. I don't doubt it for a second.
Yeah, you got to deal with them on a weekly basis, don't you?
I have like 10. So
I have literally like 3.
Look, spoiler alert, we got together the other day and I gifted everyone Funko Pops, so I can't throw shade one way or the other, but the people who really care about Funko Pops, they are a different breed.
Yes, they are.
They are.
Like Cameron Thomas and Thomas Mulbach. Icon of the trash 80s. We apologize for ISIS, baby. My generation propelled that. We own it. Cameron would.
There's no denying it. That's the thing. I mean, and I'm not really that surprised. You kind of knew that it was going to be an absolute positive disaster, because this was going to be the first time that they were really doing everything online for the ones that would have like the sticker on it that says
"Yep,
San Diego Comic-Con," not the ones that would be
not
released.
Funko Shop exclusive.
Well, I mean, they do the line of them that are released in stores, but they have like a Summer Comic-Con exclusive tag on it or something like that.
Yeah.
So there is a Mr. Freeze one that I would like to pick up, but they have like a. Eventually, I know that there was an opportunity to buy it, but I don't like going out in public. So, but the thing is that there's one that has the sticker on it. And originally, that was the only way that you can get those types of pops, and that's why some of them are worth like $20,000.
The Black Lightning, which was the con exclusive that Cameron was after, they only made it was the equivalent to one of the Celebration exclusives I had. It was only 3,000 of them are in existence.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. I don't get it. Well, they'll be worthless, like my George Sakal Celebration 2 figure. Yeah, I'll gladly take that to my grave, though. Anyway, let's move on. Keep chugging through this little bit of news we got left. So we touched on it. We touched on it a little bit. I'm excited and disappointed at the same time. Bill and Ted Face the Music got its second trailer, which was pretty freaking awesome, if you ask me. But we learned it will be on video on demand and in select theaters, aka the theaters that are open and want it, on September 1st. Yeah, Bill and Ted. I love that trailer. I don't know if all you guys watched it yet, but I loved it.
I watched it.
As someone who does not like the second Bill and Ted film, I love the first one. Second one's This third one looks like everything I wanted it to be and more.
It looks like a ridiculous. It like you said, probably what you would hope from something like this.
Yes.
Dust off the Bill and Ted name and go at it again. If Bill and Ted get old.
Really weird without
a beard. Keanu Reeves without a beard is not.
We were talking about that earlier. It's just
yeah, it is weird because like obviously we've primarily known Keanu Reeves without the beard, but now it's just so synonymous with him. Like it's just part of the iconography. Now, yeah, I feel like it's weird in the Bill and Ted trailer for the first time. I feel like I've actually seen Keanu look a little older, which I guess is because I have young Keanu last time he played that character to contrast it with. But I think this is a great move for this movie. I think more movies need to just give up the ghost on this and do this as well and stop pretending they're going to get that traditional theater release. It ain't happening, even if it's next year. It's like, because smaller movies are starting to do this now where they're delayed until 2021. I think more movies just need to cut their losses. Obviously, the big productions don't want to do this, but there's those mid-budget movies, I think, like this, where they just need to go ahead and do it.
See, something like this is perfect for that because it's got a minuscule budget compared to something like a Wonder Woman or a Tenet. Because look at Trolls. Trolls barely was able to break even apparently, but the numbers looked good considerably. But it's still the fact that people are willing to pay for this new content because they're tired of watching the same old stuff. I love how people are finally accepting how important the movie theaters are, but now they're at the point where they're too afraid to go to it because of what's going on. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can't really. Yeah, I don't know. In a hypothetical, like if all the movie theaters just open tomorrow and they had their new guidelines in place, so they just all open. I don't know if
AMC
people
still is apparently.
AMC's opening soon.
They're going to open in August no matter what, apparently.
Yeah, they probably have no other option at this point. They're just got to try to minimize that loss. I don't know. I believe people will probably rush back in, honestly. And whether that's advisable or smart, that's up for debate. Or maybe it's not. But I think people will still do it. But even still, will it be enough for those major productions to make back how much cash they put in, especially now? Because now they're marketing those things beyond when they were supposed to be. And they're going to have to get the whole cycle kicked up again when it actually comes time to put that movie back out and remind people it exists. Although they are talking about those bigger movies about releasing them early, releasing them soon internationally, where it's not such a controversial move.
Yeah. And Tenet is an example of that. But you just brought up something that I wanted to touch on. You're talking about how you just mentioned how they're spending all the money on marketing. You got to remember, they've probably saved a decent amount of money on marketing because they're not having to pay for those TV spots over and over and over like they have. So the TV spot budget's probably still there.
TV spots, yeah. It's just they were marketing up to that planned release date, and a lot of them postponed. So now they're marketing towards that release date. And now I think ultimately they're just going to say, all right, it's not coming out this year. And then when it comes time for it to come out, they're going to have to move the cycle again. So they're doing interviews and they're paying for bus ads and billboards and like you said, TV spots. And they already lost Wonder Woman already lost that Blizzard tie-in because I ate it already. And I bet you it's not on the menu when that movie comes out. That's a damn shame for them.
What was in that Blizzard?
It's cookie explosion. A lot of different like cookie dough.
You had it as well?
Jenny had it.
Well, get her on.
I had a bite.
Because this just became a cool food review on Sunday night. We're reviewing the Wonder Woman Cookie Blizzard. It was pretty good.
Ooh, is that a cool food review ASMR right there?
Is this a plug?
This is just my passion.
But no, sounds like Taylor's loving his Yeti mic over there, so I'm glad.
I am loving it. Hopefully it sounds good. Hopefully you're loving it.
Good. Yeah.
Look, whoever got it sounding off in the chat. The Wonder Woman Blizzard is delicious.
So is that Frosted Animal Cracker one.
Oh, I haven't tried that yet. This is now a Blizzard show.
Oh, God.
Blizzard cast.
Why does it have vanilla?
What is wrong with you?
No, we're speaking of Wonder Woman. That's honestly probably perfectly time for this. Zack Snyder dropped the Justice League Snyder Cut clip yesterday, and it's something everyone's wanted to see. We got to see Henry Cavill and his black suit Superman.
Ow.
Hunka. Black suit. Your audio is fine. No.
Your audio's a little loud.
Yeah, I know. I think I got to replace the cord. But
glad I'm not wearing my headphones today.
But we got that little clip yesterday. I would probably play it if it weren't for the fact we'd get copyright struck.
Snyder will get us. Snyder will cut us.
Yeah. Well, no, it was just realistically, it was the clip we saw in the last trailer for Justice League, where
I've been saying that the Snyder Cut should just keep the mustache on. Oh, I guess he won't, because what he also said,
the mustache.
Yeah, he said he's not going to use any reshoot footage. He'd rather burn the film than use any of it. So I guess mustache is staying on the cutting room floor.
I'm excited to watch that movie now.
Yeah. I know people have been clickbaiting it a bit, like, because he didn't say he would rather burn it than use Joss Whedon's footage, right? He said reshoot footage.
Yeah, he said reshoot footage.
Although, what did Ray Fisher say? What did he say about Joss Whedon?
Oh, he was basically like, yeah, Joss Whedon, if I'm lying about this stuff, then sue me for slander or libel or whatever.
Oh, I thought you said Joss Whedon should be terrified or something.
Oh, yeah, he said he should be terrified. He said he should be terrified because of all this that's going on. He's like, and if he wasn't terrified, he'd probably sue me for slander or libel because apparently I'm lying about this, but why isn't there a lawsuit?
Interesting. Man, it's Sounds like he's got something else in the chamber that he wasn't tweeting about. It sounds like this goes a little deeper than we thought.
He straight up has said, "I have people who are a part of the production who are willing to speak out also, if it were to come to that."
Backstory of this film will never end. George says, being excited to watch a Zack Snyder flick is like me being excited to watch a Michael Bay movie. I mean, I'm kind of there with him, man. All the hype of the Snyder cut, the hype is real, but I've also not really enjoyed any of the Snyder DC stuff. Apparently,
at DC Fandom next month, we're going to learn whether this is going to be one large film or a series.
Yeah, because it's they already confirmed it's like 3 hours plus, right?
Originally they said it was going to be 4 hours, but now they're saying it may be longer than what it was originally
10 hours
suggested.
Baby.
That's one thing you can always say with Zack Snyder. He does not know how to make a short movie.
Yep. Yes, that's something we've talked about in the past because Zack Snyder seems like a filmmaker who cannot make a condensed film.
Yeah, which is also, I think, always been the problem with some of these DC movies and how even back to Watchmen, right? Like he's always doing this, and they always got to cut stuff out. No matter how long it is. I mean, I'm gonna check it out. Obviously, I'm in the bag on Snyder Cut. Whether I'm gonna like it at the other side of it, I can't really say.
If it is a series, we might do a live review after each episode. If it's a movie, we'll probably I'll watch it, do a review, and see what goes down. But yeah.
We're obviously far, far, far from being done talking about this movie, apparently.
And I can already tell you, it's not because they've confirmed that the Snyder Cut will not be a part of the DCEU continuity. Zack Snyder has said that himself.
What if it's just universally beloved though? Like
that would be ridiculous.
What if they get the guys like me to be like, "Wow, he really nailed it. I want more of it."
Yeah, I wish Connor was here right now because he'd be the one hyping the living hell out of it.
Well, I think so. Connor's like looking forward to it, but I don't think he's.
More minutes of talking.
I don't think he's banking on it being great necessarily because I think he's kind of the same thing where he's like, I want to see his vision realized. I want to see what he had in store, but I also don't love those other. He likes BVS a lot more than I do. I believe. I don't really like BVS, and I like Man of Steel. All right.
Stink.
Man of Steel. Man of Steel's the one I actually. This and Aquaman. Those are my two DCEU films.
Of his DC stuff, I like Man of Steel the most because it's probably the cleanest and most straightforward movie that doesn't have all this baggage on it.
Of his stuff, yeah. In general, I'd say Shazam and Aquaman don't have baggage at all.
No, yeah, just talking Snyder specifically. But Superman looks good.
Yeah, Superman looks great.
Where's the mullet? We got this close. Where's the mullet?
Yeah, I know.
More mullet.
It's only been like a couple months though, so I like no beard, no mullet. Yes, Man of Steel rocks. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm willing to watch it. But
I'm gonna watch it. There's no question about that. Yeah.
But we touched a little bit on films being moved. Here's just some of the latest films to get their releases moved, and that is A Quiet Place Part 2, Top Gun Maverick, and Tom Holland's Spider-Man 3.
Spider-Man Home for the Holidays.
Yeah, that might as well be the title now because it will be coming out in December of 2021 apparently.
They got to do it.
Yeah. December 2021, I think Maverick is Maverick and Quiet Place are both March if I remember correctly.
Yeah, man, I mean, this doesn't even bum me out anymore because it's just inevitable.
I was gonna ask: is there gonna be a point where we just stop talking about this? Because I'm only saying that because it feels like every single time that we do it, it's just, oh, I really wanted to see that.
No, because we already knew we had to wait for these. It was just wow, we have to wait even longer now because they pushed it.
Right. I'm just saying. Like I feel like it was like I feel like every single time that we talk about this, it's more of just the same thing over and over again. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of I'm really hoping I can see this movie at this time. Now I can't. I don't know.
So here we go. Top Gun Maverick is pushed to July 2nd, 2021. And
yeah, that's the big thing. These movies are now like
that's over a full year from its original release date. A full year.
Well, that's because all these other movies have to flood the area in. I mean, you're going to see
And then A Quiet Place Part 2 is April 23rd. And
Maybe we'll see.
That's just
that's the other thing. I think the assumption that will be back to a semblance of normalcy at that time is not a foregone thing either. You know, so we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's gonna be a long winter.
We're making progress. We're making progress. Oh, and another film that I forgot to put this in the notes, and I'm just glad I pulled up this article. Another film that's got its sequel release date announced is the one and the only Sonic the Hedgehog, which will release April 8th, 2022.
I just watched that for the first time with my buddy Terrence. Finally saw it.
Last night?
No, like a couple hours ago today.
Oh, really? What did you think?
It's fun. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. I mean, like,
it's a silly little movie, and we got super hyped for the sequel bait at the end. So Jim Carrey's having a fun time. I was having a fun time. I had some genuine laughs in it. None of it would have worked if he still looked hideous. Like I just every scene I kept thinking, like, what if he was still really gross? Yeah, that joke wouldn't have landed.
I want to know what Tails looked like.
Oh, when he gross Tails.
Yeah, gross Tails.
Yeah,
give me grody Tails.
I really want the DVD where they have an alternate version with the bad Sonic. I really want to see that.
It'd be cool if it was like seamless. You could hit a button and you could just switch between the two like instantly. Yeah, release. We've said it before on the show. I think like release the gross cut.
Yeah,
get it out there.
Yeah, it's like the Snyder cut.
Yeah.
Yes. But another
a little bit of a story behind that movie when Lou and I went to go see it. So,
that's funny.
So like right at the end of the movie, you know how they're like in Sonic's new room.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's a speed sign that says 145 miles an hour. Ha ha! There's no speed limit that says 145 miles an hour. His dad, who very much regretted bringing his kids to this movie, just goes, "Wow, 145 miles an hour." That's funny. And I started like dying of laughter with Lou's brother next to me. We lost it. It was just like that guy thought we were thinking of the joke was funny, but we did not. All right, go on.
But just another two films that moved their slate is Tenet is officially off of Warner Brothers release board in general. It does not have a release date, but they're still talking about releasing it in international waters, as Taylor talked about earlier, with just other films in general. And Disney's Mulan, both have been removed for those respective companies' releases, and we have no idea when they'll be coming out. So
when am I getting the Szechuan sauce?
I can't wait to watch Tenet under its secret name online. Tenet spelled backwards.
Oh,
what?
Wait, that's Tenet.
Malbach with the palindrome humor.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I'm out.
That's the danger, though, right? I feel like somebody like Nolan's going to really not like the idea of an early release because you're going to have not just spoilers, but you're going to have pirate copies all over the internet before.
And then it's going to and that's the thing. You know that's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
without a doubt. Like us, Great Britain is under control. That's literally just the same thing as what the cut in America would be.
And I mean, but on the studio end, I can't really blame them for being like, oh my God, we've sunk so much cash, we got to get it out.
Thank you.
Seinfeldian.
It was not.
It's
terrible.
No, I'm just like, you know what? The push not giving it a release date. I understand.
Yeah.
Saying it may release in other territories before America. That's one I'm like, ooh, that one might come back to bite you because, like we were just talking about, pirating. It's a real issue. That's something that happens a lot. And
yeah, for sure. People are going to be watching it with Ukrainian subtitles. You know?
I was about to say, especially with the cracked Amazon Fire Sticks and things like that. Like it's more accessible nowadays.
Yeah.
Really will.
I have a choice.
I mean, like I've seen people just like randomly watching like movies that are out on cracked Fire Sticks just playing in the open. So like
the store around the corner in our neighborhood watching John Wick 3.
That's what I was referencing. I don't need to get into details, but But yeah, I mean, like it's gonna be released all over the internet. We're gonna know the entire plot of the movie,
And then they're going to be forced to do something they don't want to do, and that's just throw it on streaming.
yes,
Yeah,
on Peacock.
no, that would be HBO Max.
I know. I just want
Put it on Peacock.
Throw it next to Everybody Loves Raven.
Yes.
That's true cinema right there. That was Nolan's
King
vision.
of Queens on Peacock?
Is it? Is that one
I
done?
don't know.
Is
I
King of
don't know.
Queens on Peacock?
I honestly have not done a deep dive into Peacock. George left; he would have been the one to ask.
What?
I know, but somebody
King of Queens
was it
on?
you or Connor who was like, "Oh, Everybody Loves Raven." Oh, it was Connor.
It's Connor, probably.
Connor's a big Peacock head.
Yeah. But
Hashtag put King of Queens on Peacock if it's not already on Peacock. That's a pretty long hashtag,
a long
but
hashtag
that's
right there.
that's what the hashtag is. Make it.
Okay, sorry, Matt. Go on.
we only got 2 pieces of news, so I'm just trying to get through them. All right, and
Just trying to get through it.
And then our second to last piece of news: more movings, but the coronavirus has affected Disney's slate for the next decade. They moved every Avatar film and Star Wars film for the next 10 years back a full year, and a couple untitled projects.
Avatar 2.
Avatar 2 got moved again.
Oh,
Avatar
no!
2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, Avatar 2, 3, 4, 5.
Isn't the last one now scheduled for 2028?
2028
Yeah,
or 2029.
Oh my god. This is a good bit, dude, that Cameron's got going. This got a good bit about like putting these movies out and never doing it. It's a pretty good joke.
I mean, I don't have interest in Avatar anymore. Like,
It's
when I
here.
first watched it, I was a little kid, and I'm like, I mean, I love this movie. I love the 3D, but now I'm like,
Oh, hell yeah. Everybody, I can confirm King of Queens is in fact on Peacock.
We did it.
We did it.
So Avatar, the original film, came out in 2009.
yeah. I was a
Like,
completely different person. I
was-
thought it was great.
The release date. Yeah,
I wish.
you were right. The release date for Avatar 3 is now 2027. So it will be a full, or excuse me, 2028. It will be a full 19 years between the first and the last film in these series.
It's not a good series. That's just my opinion.
We don't
It's
know
just
it
not-
as a series.
Yeah, we don't know.
It's stupid. It's a stupid idea. Why would you invest money in this stupid property?
Because James Cameron is similar to George Lucas, and it's not about the property, it's about pushing the technology used forward. That's the same things George Lucas would do in the past. And
Great.
that's
There's
what
going to be
Cameron's
Gungans and green screen in this
Oh
movie.
no, they're gonna be having hair sex too. Oh no, like
You know, it's very easy to dunk on Avatar and the mad scientist quality of whether these movies will ever actually
But it's the
come
second
out.
highest grossing film of all time.
Well, but it's James Cameron.
Yeah,
right?
and that is
And
the
yeah,
there's
it's-
no reason to doubt James Cameron, man. He always pulls it off.
It was because of 3D. The
Yeah.
only reason why Avatar is as successful as it is because of
But that's
3D.
the point I was making. He pushed 3D to a new height. He pushed it to a new level. And he's talking about he's pushing things to the next forefront with these films.
What,
And
smell
just like
it?
Taylor's,
40?
Can I
who
can I
knows?
smell the ponytails?
Is it gonna be like
Stuff?
water splashing in my face when somebody sneezes?
Who knows?
He's probably
It
going to waterboard
it could-
you in the theater like Ed
It
Harrison.
could be visual
pissed.
effects. It could be something he pushed forward in visual effects. We
I mean-
don't know.
Like, are they gonna have a skeleton come down from the rafters? Like, and
Oh,
fly
isn't
around?
it like
Like
flex
it did in
tape?
the
Aren't they
50s?
shooting most of the movie underwater or something like
Yeah,
that?
they are
yeah.
shooting. The second one is called The Way of Water.
And Cameron is a maniac when he gets in the water, baby. He just goes down and finds the Titanic as a hobby. Like he gets wacky when you put a little water on him. So that's what I'm saying, dude. Am I personally interested in seeing more Avatar? Not really, not inherently. But James Cameron has never given me a reason to think he doesn't have something.
Because
amazing.
even when you don't want to watch or even when you don't think you're going to like James Cameron, it's still a pretty high quality flick.
Yeah.
It's not like it's bad. It's just, oh wow, he actually pulled it off. That's what people say. Whenever people have doubted James Cameron, those end up being the words. He pulled it off. Okay, I shouldn't have doubted him.
But he's willing to tie his anchor to
Use
this.
that series, that movie about the cities that are on wheels.
No, that was
No,
Peter
that's
Jackson.
Oh, Peter Jackson. Okay.
Yeah, Peter
I've
Jackson
gotten a lot of
produced
things
that.
from that.
And look, Cameron's produced some junk. I mean, he threw
The
his name
Terminator
on,
series.
he threw his name on the new Terminator movies. But Alita was pretty good. He threw his name on that.
That was all right, yeah. But
Alita's
that,
pretty
once
good.
again, that was his company. That was them. They were pushing the face blending technology to another forefront. That's just what he does.
Yeah, when Cameron gets in the director's seat, he's going to take you for a ride. And for him to tie his anchors to like this is a franchise so heavily, which is not something he's really ever done, save for like some of the Terminator stuff. There's been no.
That's it.
Yeah, there's been no real Cameron franchise. So again, I know he's got something that's going to make me care. If I'll be alive when he ever gets to that point, I don't know.
That's a different thing.
Nothing's for certain, man, and it's a long timeline we're on now. But whatever he's got saved up, it's going to be worth the wait, I'm sure. I've got no reason to doubt him.
Too. That's all I want.
He can make me give a shit about Titanic 2.
That's a film already, Lou. The Titanic 2 is a film already.
Yeah,
I want Titanic 3.
Titanic 2 is the thing?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a film.
It's an asylum
Titanic,
movies.
and then, it's hilarious.
Oh,
Yeah.
so it's supposed to be like, okay. There's
Some of
just
those asylum
playing on
things.
words, and all right.
Although it does definitely feel like in 2020 we would like unveil a Titanic 2 and send it out on the seas. It feels like what's coming up.
Well, there's been that long-standing talk about them actually building a replica of the Titanic and trying to send it on the same path of the original.
There we go.
Path.
There we go. That iceberg's still
it'll be
waiting.
okay.
He never left. He's still
That
waiting.
one dude who was the iceberg in Titanic Legend Returns is gonna destroy that again.
All right, and then the last piece of movie news. This is something we touched on. I'm really scared a bit, but we got to see the opening of New Mutants, and honestly, I know Connor wasn't extremely thrilled with the opening, plus the trailer we got, but I know you and I we dug it.
I was digging it.
Yeah, Connor is stuck on the. It's not the horror movie that we were promised with that first trailer, and I understand that. But it still takes place in a superhero universe, and they have to show both sides of it.
Yeah, this was I never believed, because I've seen enough, like several dozen of Marvel movies, MCU or not, I never believed that this was going to be a straightforward horror movie. It was going to be horror influenced comic book characters, superheroes.
It still seems like we're getting that. I will say
which I'm still into, because we haven't, as many of these movies as we got, we still don't really have that. So I think the first 2 minutes of this, I think, are playing, pretty accurately in what I hope for this movie. I mean, again, this is another one of those things like Avatar. It's like got a good bit going that I'm ever going to watch this movie. But so far as the actual film's content, I think it looks good. It's just a very unfortunate, tragic history of trying to get me to watch this thing.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, And even in the Comic-Con at Home panel, they played into the, hey, we've moved release dates. And there's still a chance to move this release date, but we aren't. Because they played the end of the trailer from the first original trailer when it said coming this day. And then they just kept repeating that with the new trailer date, or the new release date. And then with the current one, it put the current one up, and then it put little parentheses under maybe.
It's definitely not coming out next month. It's certainly not coming out next month unless they do a Bill and Ted, and I think they probably just may as well do a Bill and Ted.
I mean, Disney's. I understand why Disney is, because they're still trying to make the money back from that Fox acquisitions, especially when you had to release films like Stuber.
Dude, Stuber, don't dog on Stuber. I liked it.
Dave?
Fun.
No, it's Batista.
And
His name is Stu, and he's an
Uber.
He's
driver.
an Uber, and he's a stew.
So he's a Stuber.
All right, that's it. I'll see you guys.
Stars Johnny.
Yep, Kumail Nanjiani.
I like Stuber.
I mean, I didn't, but okay.
Yeah, I didn't either. But it's just one of those things. You're just like, hey, I understand why they're pushing, because this is probably going to be that real moneymaker last of the Fox films that were already produced that they got.
Yeah.
Plus, there's a lot of legality issues about how apparently if they release it under streaming, it would have to go straight to like HBO Max or something like that because of the fact. Because there was a talk of, oh, maybe it goes on Hulu, maybe it goes on Disney Plus. But if they did something like that, it would have to go to HBO first because of Fox's streaming deal with HBO. So I mean, It's just one of those things.
I think you don't have to go straight to streaming, but I think they should just do the simultaneous, like, here it is on VOD. If you want to watch it, it's $20. If you got a theater around you that can open, you can watch it there, or we could do a drive-in thing too. Like, you can go watch it over there. But at this point, I just think it's not in this film's future to get a traditional release anymore.
I would guarantee drive-ins would be packed if they played that movie.
I'm sure it's all going, yeah, for sure. Double feature it with something spooky or something X-Men related. Like, I'm there for sure.
Yeah, you can play with Stuber.
Yeah,
Give me
Cool.
Logan.
That's
Give
two
me
for
Logan
two.
and Logan and New Mutants. That would be the double feature I'd want from that.
Yeah,
triple with a Stuber as well.
And
Just do
Play Stuber twice. Play Stuber twice.
play,
I'll go.
play it all
Oh,
three
yeah,
times.
dude.
That's
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Just only Stuber.
I want to go into the night watching Stuber.
yes, but that's all the news we have. There is another piece of news, but I'll say what it is real quick, but I'm not going to touch into it. We're going to say that for the episode of Saber Rules that'll come out later this week, and that is that Taika Waititi has announced he started writing his Star Wars film. So woohoo, yay, good film, hopefully, because it is Taika Waititi and he has a great track record. But yeah, so that's going to be on Saber Reels this week, so that'll be fun.
Win Saber Reels.
I'm probably going to do it pre-recorded this week, so I don't know just yet.
Plugmaster.
Okay. Plugmaster was going for it, but he couldn't get there. No, he can't do it. He doesn't know.
No, but
Hey, I have
He
no
doesn't
control
know.
over what's going on over there.
I mean, me neither. So
but yeah, so there's that. But this is what I've been looking forward to talking about today. We got our filmmaking theory discussion we're going to have real quick, and I know Lou messaged me a couple weeks ago, and he had a lot that he wanted to talk about. So I'm going to let Lou start off because, yeah. So here we go. Oh shit! I actually meant to.
What's up, friend?
Hey, Lou.
No. I meant to do this. My apologies.
I mean, there's just like a lot of things that I just want to look at. I mean, just creation, really, and I want to inspire people, you know. So I don't know. I mean, there's just many things that I kind of wanted to talk about. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I'm pulling suggestions for young writers, topics and genres that I want to write about in the future. Honest, like, go ahead, just start off the conversation, Lou. Just start it off.
all right,
What's on your mind?
I think I'll start with my advice to young filmmakers, like people just starting out. I mean, honestly, I think that people sometimes come up to me and say, "Hey, what should I do?" And I just tell them, "Write, make something." And if you put your heart into it, you know, and you think about it a lot, you know, it's going to be good. And it's, I mean, I'm going to quote Billy Joel really early in this. I might quote him a lot. But he said, if you make something good, and it doesn't mean that make something good for other people, but like make something good for you. And that's where it all comes from. So I think that for young filmmakers, you got to write, and it doesn't, your grand masterpiece, your Hamlet isn't going to be your first film. So, I mean, I know that Nick wants to do like another thing where we talk about our first film, but I mean, I've written bad ones and those never got made. And I'm like, okay, I'll just be okay with not having that be my first film, and I'll make another one. You know, you got to be willing to make mistakes and keep on going, even if you don't have it be made, you know. And if you're going to make a bad film, make it with your friends, you know. Don't say, oh, I'm going to this is going to be it. This is going to put everybody on the map. I mean, you wrote a film, you know. You got to make it, you know. That's my suggestion, really. Like, you got to make it.
Yeah, I know we all have some experience with that. Nick and I with Raz Ren, and then Taylor with Murmur. Oh yeah.
I would even add on to that a little bit to even say, you know, never. My advice that I've learned just from watching Lou and watching other people kind of, I know that we had talked about potentially exploring Murmur maybe even as a feature, or, I think that a project is never really set in stone. And by that, I mean, and I did bring up a roundtable discussion of like, hey, this was my first script that never got made, and here's why, type of a discussion. But, something that I've seen, at least just when it came to the filmmaking side of things, if I could bring up Andy.
Yeah.
So when we were in high school, Lou wrote a script that, I was behind making just because Lou was my friend. And, I was like, oh, well, we could, give it a try. I've tried to make some feature-length movies in the past.
It was terrible.
Okay. To him, this script was terrible. I wouldn't say that. I don't remember a lot of it, to be honest. If it wasn't good, but to me, my advice would be never, ever, ever just scrap an idea, because Lou went back and rewrote the concept of Anti, and now it's a feature-length script that we can actually make.
Yeah. I mean, with scrapping the idea, you have to be willing to say something about this isn't working. I have to go back and restart. It's not really scrapping the idea.
So page one rewrite, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I remember I tried to rewrite Anti, and it was even worse the second time, because I was trying to do an Avengers thing with characters that nobody knew. It was, let's introduce this character. Let's introduce this other character that has no character at all. It was just, let's introduce and introduce and introduce and introduce. It wasn't going to work. And I was trying to start it with like the same introduction to the movie. And I just think that I needed to take time away from that whole entire idea, from superhero films in general. And it's always good to have time away from a script and an idea.
I understand that, because that's been part of the writing process with Oreo. I'll knock out like 20 plus pages, and then once I hit a wall, I just take a break from it and do like other small things, whether it be the Justice League, the whole World's Finest fan series that I did get half written, and then I hit back at Oreo or things like that. Or even when just to get my mind off stuff, sometimes I cosplay or create original cosplays that help get the creative juices flowing again, because you're thinking of, especially when you're doing an original cosplay, you're thinking of a character's backstory or things like that, and it helps you pick up things that help create a character, even when if it's a character you're going to transfer over to writing. And I know Taylor has his shorts that he works on, and I know the 48s were always a little blessing in disguise, because it gave me a weekend to try to create something and hone it a little bit rather than rush it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, I probably should have written something today, but I want to start doing one-day writes. Like, I write a short in one day, and I mean, I of course work on features, but those, I hit the block, or I'm like, I don't want to write today, I'd rather just look at my phone and just zone out, but sometimes those shorts, you need them to just say, okay, I gotta get back into the writing experience, and I just have an idea that I love. I mean, also with some of my shorts, my micro shorts, one night I was like, I think I was writing something else, but I'm like, I want to write a short. I have an idea, and it wasn't enough for a feature length, and it wasn't really enough for a 20-minute thing. But then I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to write out a page. That was it. It was a whole page. And I was like, man, this is an all right script. And then I gave it to Nick, and we're going to film it sooner or later. But
well, I mean, to that, and I'll bring up a friend of ours, not a friend of the show yet, though I'd love to have him on at some point. A lot of the inspiration for writing these or making micro shorts came from John Maslowski friend of Murmur, friend of everybody here.
Good guy.
Yeah.
Who was making these short films that were just getting into festivals everywhere. And you couldn't go a day, it felt like, without seeing a
An
film
announcement that he is getting an
festival.
indoor
Yeah.
festival.
And I'm like, oh, that would be really cool to have something. And I think that is something to the effect of having micro shorts is that film festivals will always need something to show, and your work will be shown,
Yeah.
which
I mean,
is all a nice thing.
I know that we have a couple shorts that we've written and like, okay, let's turn that into a feature. And we haven't gotten around to it, like Survivor, which is one where like this is an interesting premise, and even someone like the horror mind of Ron George was even like, yeah, no, that sounds cool. Let's get it written so we can make it, because I'd love that.
Yeah,
and it's just like sometimes, as much as you want to write something, it's also about finding the time to and being in that right headspace. Because I know, Taylor, you talked about when we were reaching out to when we first met Alok and he was giving us notes on Murmur. You were like, yeah, as much as I do like the idea of turning Murmur into a feature and building on that lore, I want to do Stargazer first and have that as like proof of concept piece, just because I'm not in the Murmur headspace. I want to get that finished written before I went on to something like a feature like the original Murmur.
Yeah, and I struggle when I can't juggle ideas. I have to subscribe to one idea at a time and lock it in and say, that's the one I'm going to think about. And sometimes I realize, I'm also a procrastinator. I struggle with that.
Yep.
Sometimes I realize I'm like, I'm not ready for that idea yet. And sometimes it's hard, but sometimes you got to put it away and put it on the shelf for a little bit. And to what you guys were saying earlier, never give up or just throw something in the trash and forget it. Because I think creativity and the creative mind, it's synonymous with your own brain and your life experience. And that idea is maybe going to work someday, but you just haven't had that day or that experience, or you haven't seen that movie or read that book where it just lights up in your brain and that last piece falls into place. And you're like, oh, that idea totally makes sense to me now. Let's go. We're talking about Murmur. The best example, Murmur came. You never know where you're going to find inspiration for this stuff. Murmur came from me watching an episode of Ghost Adventures. Terrible show. Ridiculous show. But a particular episode of that put the idea of Murmur in my head. And that just started the ball rolling. And next thing you know, a couple months later, we got a script. We're shooting it. And we made a kick-ass little 20-minute short film out of it. So you never know where inspiration is going to come from. Like you said, Stargazer, the thing I pitched a while back on this show, with Johnny, that was like spun out of an idea I had like 3 or 4 years ago. And I'm still working on that. And that's something I'd like to get made within the next year, hopefully not even that long from now. But it's one of those things where I'm just kind of struggling with it. I'm like, I don't know how this ends. And I feel like I got to meditate on it a little bit. And eventually, I'm going to have that light bulb moment. I'm just looking for it, where it's all, once I have the ending, everything else is going to fall into place. So no, I think you guys totally nailed it. If you have an idea that interests you, keep it. Maybe you're not ready for it yet, but in a couple years, you're going to have the right perspective. You're like, that's why that was interesting to me. Now I get it. And now I know how to make other people interested in it. So I would say that's pretty solid advice.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree completely.
For Anti, even the inspiration. Well, I was trying to make a regular superhero film. I was trying to be one of the big dogs, but I didn't get the formatting of the whole entire story until I saw that Jordan was making Pandemonium, and I needed that. I saw that he was making a modern day representation of Dante's Inferno, so I'm like, why don't I make a modern day version of Don Quixote? And I mean, it was pretty much a perfect fit, and I was like, okay. And I also have my own personal experiences, and I put that in, and I mean, that's what it is. I mean, I recently wrote a script, and it took me. I started it, and then had a little bit of life, and I put it away, and I went back into it, and the guy that I'm working on it with, I told him, I'm just going to. I had to live a little bit of life, get some life experience down, and I had to deal with it, and then I could finish writing the script, that edit, and that's what I needed to do. And now I got to go back and do a second edit, and yeah, and I don't know if this is gonna segue into the next part, but one of the things that I wanted to talk about from that text was why I write the physical media to digital.
What was that part? It kind of cut
Yeah,
out.
you cut out.
Why I write from in physical media and go to digital, where I write in a notebook first and then I put it in the computer. That's another.
No, I do the same thing. It's just one of those things that helps me write better.
Yeah, it's one of my tips that I would give to young filmmakers as well. Like, write in a journal first instead of typing it out.
Yeah, like
because when I typed Anti out first, okay, I couldn't go back and edit it. It just felt wrong of changing everything that I had.
I'm gonna drop from the screen real quick. I'm still listening.
All right, but I just made this new system of let's write it all out, okay, in my own format. I really don't usually do the regular filmmaking format. I just write it as I would expect just a play or whatever, without too many seed headings or any of that. So I would just write it out, let it flow, and then I would just say, all right, I'm going to go back and type it out. So that's one free edit, and then I can take that, put it back into a journal. That's another free edit. And then I got to do it again. So
yeah, no, I stepped out so I can actually grab this. But like, for example, what we were just talking about. This is part of Oreo. There's like 20 some odd pages here. Just scribbles in there, all handwritten because it's going back through. And then I go back and transcribe it. It's just one of those things. It's easier to pull off. And like Oreo, I'm gonna share my screen because I have Celtics pulled up to show how long that I've been working on it. If you look at the storyboard and index cards right there, that says November 20th, 2016. That's when I started this. November 20th, 2016 at 11:08 p.m. And then I just recently put what I hope to be the final touches on it. So it's just one of those things that it takes a while. It's not like I know Nick's gotten on me. When's it going to get done? It's like it's considering sometimes what subject matter of a film could be. You don't want to rush it because this is something that covers race and LGBT relationships and things like that. You want to take care of certain subjects with care to make sure you're not pushing any buttons that you didn't intend to push, or that you're not representing something in the wrong way.
Yeah, I mean, and I would never say rush it. It would just be like, hey, excited to make it, excited to get to the ball rolling on.
Oh, I know. I was just saying, like, that's why I said you're like, when's it going to get done? Because this is because you were excited. And it's just like, look, it's going to get done when it gets done.
I mean, and to that point though, like, I know that I won't go into any details on it, but I know that Lou and I are having that sort of not an issue, but making sure that we send our next feature to somebody who can maybe read it and be like, oh yeah, that sort of experience for that character would make sense. So like, I completely understand, like, making sure the calendar, making sure that, like, a character is represented well within the context of a community. You don't want to. I've seen filmmakers totally go about it the wrong way and just kind of write from their own headspace when it comes to that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you always need that buffer of other people if you're going to be reaching into other communities that you're not always sure of. I mean,
for some fictional things like a superhero, you know, you don't have to give it to your local superhero, but if you're talking about real things, it's okay to not rush it. But I'm always open to I got this done in this many weeks. That was pretty quick, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being through edits in a very quick time. I mean, people say that it's a long time. It's a long process, but you got to be willing to say, "Oh man, I finished it in this time." That could still be good, but I don't know. I just think that the stereotype of this takes 20 years to write a script, you know, it's not always going to take 20 years to write a script,
but when it does, there's normally good reasoning behind it.
Yeah, it's okay if it takes forever. It's okay if it takes a month, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's an Uncut Gems type statement. That movie went through so many versions just based around the current events happening around them, and trying to get certain talents and stuff like that. Because if you're familiar with basketball, Amari Stoudemire was supposed to be in it originally, and it just changed from there and there and there until they finally settled on our boy KG. So
didn't they try to pitch that to Sandler like a decade ago or something too?
Yeah.
There you go.
And eventually, Benicio
del Toro was considered for it at one point. All this, like, that movie was something that went through a crazy amount of, I wouldn't call development hell. It was tweaking it until they felt they got it right, and it's in my top 3 of last year for sure. It might be number 1. It's last year had a decent amount of good films, but it's just one of those things. Like, I know with Oreo, it got to the point where I felt comfortable enough with some of the characters who were represented in certain ways, like the LGBT characters, because the main character, his best friend is a lesbian, and I wanted to make sure I didn't just gloss over the struggle. When you first get the introduction of her character, it's about her past, about how her family didn't accept her being a lesbian, and she was kicked out, tossed to the side, and she doesn't have this great, loving relationship with her family because of that. And I know I've had, I want to say, 7 or 8 people read what I had saved to my Google Drive to a certain point, and they're like, "No, that's you. It's pretty good. You planning on making this? Because I'd love." And granted, it's actors in the indies in our indie community. Like, I'd love to be a part of this if that's the thing. It's like, when I hear that kind of stuff, especially when it's something I don't know, I'm 100% sure with. When you get that kind of feedback, that's really helpful, because you feel like, okay, I do have the characterization down. I nailed it a little bit. Now let's keep on moving forward.
Absolutely.
It sounds like it's a very, while also being a very personal script for you, also includes characters that maybe step out or a little bit outside of your own personal perspective, and that can be tricky figuring those types of characters out. You know, you want to do it smart, you want to do it respectfully, because if you don't, it'll come through. You know, it'll be really apparent. And when you step outside of your own perspective and your own worldview and try to do something else, and you don't do it properly, I mean, people can tell real quick, and they'll come for you on that. So you want to, you know, if you want to write about a certain somebody from a certain part of the world or life experience, you know, you gotta respect it and understand it at least a little bit. And it's interesting to what Lou was saying earlier about handwritten versus digital. You know, how do you prep for a script or a story? I do mostly do it digitally, like in the notepad on my phone. You know, I'm out and about, idea pops in, jot it down on the notepad real quick, or I write scripts on the computer. But I'm thinking about it, and what I consider to be, you know, and I've not talked about it much in the show because it's still a half-done idea basically, but I think it's the best story I've ever come up with, and I think it'll eventually be the best script I've ever written. I have a whole journal dedicated to it, and I never really realized that I made that distinction for it, but I think part of what makes it so much stronger than other stuff I've written is maybe because I took that extra time to consider it. And it's not just story ideas or you know, a script layout. It's a variety of different things.
Character breakdowns, things like that.
Even personal experiences, and it's a journal of stuff I was watching at the time, and you know, things I noticed here in this story or in that movie. Or I'm like, ooh, I want to have something like that. And it's to what we were just saying. It's very much, it's a period piece, and it's very much about somebody who's way outside of my own life experience or way outside of my own perspective, and that's super intimidating. And it's one of those things where I shelved it a little bit because I'm like, I need to do research. Like I need to talk to people if I'm going to write a story about this. I need to read literature if I'm going to write a story like this. But it's interesting. I never really thought about it that way, but there is something a little more intimate, I guess, about sitting down and writing it, instead of just the quick satisfaction of typing it out.
Yeah.
I know. I was about to say, I know with Oreo, even though I am mixed, and I do the main character is probably a combination of me and a few friends that I have where I'm mixed also. Because what I ended up doing is I interviewed them, asked them some of their life experience they've had from each side of the spectrum, black and white. Because the story is basically about a kid who's or not a man or a young adult who's mixed in kind of their worldview. Because I know a lot of people like to focus on racism on one side or the other, but realistically, there's a people like, and this I wrote this because it's about having a voice for those people who are mixed. Because I know Blackish has done it because they have the show Mixedish right now, where they're covering topics like this, and I'm glad because I've had experiences that have been brought up in those two shows. That is literally, those are two of my favorite normal sitcoms right now because of the content that they covered. But like I've talked to friends about their dating experiences of whether it was high school or current or more recently, because I know being in Mayfield, something I ran into is when there was someone who I was interested in, sometimes their parents wouldn't want us to be together because they saw I was black. And it's like, well, I'm mixed. Well, people don't care about that. It's just one of the, and then there have been times on my dad's side of the family where they look down on me because I'm mixed, and I talk white and things like that. And that's what this character's struggle is like. And
I think that's where the best stories actually come from.
Yeah.
Like difficult conversations and difficult situations.
Yeah.
And things that just make you feel terrible. That's where the great stories lie.
Yeah.
Like one of my the one feature length that I wrote, it was from a difficult time. And I just felt there was no place to go, there was nothing to do. I'm going to write exactly how I'm feeling. And it was just, I just wanted to put my heart out. And that's where I feel that's one of the best stories I've ever written was. And of course I haven't looked at it in a while, so I might say like, this is terrible, but it was just, that's where the greatest story lies,
Yeah,
it's those difficult,
because it's the truth. Even though what you're writing is technically fiction, there's still a truth inside of it, and that's why I love writing. That's why I've taken so much time, because I want to make sure I capture the truth. I know my ex-girlfriend, the first time her parents met me, they knew I was black, but you can tell when I first, because she went to John Carroll and was from Pittsburgh. So in the summer when I finally went to meet her family, you could tell they still weren't happy about the fact that I was black, but their daughter was happy, so they accepted it. That's what it was, and it was, you could sense the begrudgingly having me there and treating me kindly. It's just that kind of stuff. And I know I had a buddy, my buddy Sean. He's had a couple experiences. He told me about a story, and this is in the script. Although it might end up getting cut. But he told me about a story where he was at a bar and he ordered Hennessy, like just Hennessy. And there's a guy, and Nick, you've met Sean. He's lighter skinned, but has like the curly Jufro kind of look when his hair is grown out. And this dude came up to him and he's like, I didn't know a house, and part of my language, but I didn't know a house nigger drinks Hennessy. And it's like, why you got to bring that into this? And then he ended up getting in a bar fight because of it. Like things like that. People don't like to look at the ugliness of their own, and that's part of the reason we're having the issues we do in the world, because people rather focus when they say all lives matter instead of Black Lives Matter. They bring up, well, all lives matter. Then why are you okay with the KKK and everything? Like, all these hate groups. Why is that okay? Why are neo-Nazis okay? Why are you fighting to keep a flag that literally was only there for people to keep slavery? It was that's what their beliefs was. You want to call it heritage. That flag was created because they wanted a country where they can have slavery.
And this is why we create. This gives us more power over those people who just make political arguments on Facebook. That's why, I mean, if I'm gonna get political, I'm like, wait, if I'm going to get political, make something fantastic. Because if I make something fantastic, that proves that my idea is more valid. You know,
Mm-hmm.
That's why if I wrote a song a while ago, and I don't know how many years ago, like 3 years ago, and it has so much more power than just a Facebook post, and I could sing that song for people, you know, and it's not me just saying, oh, this is my political beliefs. I've created something. I've created a thing, and if I wanted to make a movie about political stuff, I can, you know, and that will give it more power than just saying it, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I was in creative writing not this past spring semester, but last spring semester, 2018 or 2019. And there was an exercise she had us do earlier in the semester where she took us to this window and had us find something outside that was there and write a poem about it, spoken word poem. And I focused on the flag, and I forget, I have the poem somewhere in my book bag, but I'm not digging it up. But I had something along the lines. I brought up the red, white, and blue flag, and I brought up something about along the lines of blood standing for those brothers who sacrificed their lives for a country that didn't care about them. And she's like, why aren't you putting this stuff in like a poetry? It's like, because sure, that's cool to put in a booklet of poetry or something, but I'm more of a person who I'm a visual person. I'd rather say those words in a visual manner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and even to that, I remember when we were shooting videos for a lot of those projects, it felt more powerful seeing something to them. You know what I mean?
I mean, for me, if I'm going to write poetry, it's more like when I write poetry and make art, it's probably there, but listening in. When I write poetry, I'm like, this isn't.
There's smudge on my camera.
It's not to show a ton of people. It's more of, if I have another medium that people know me for, and I die, this is what they're going to see, and then they'll be like, "Oh, wow, this is amazing. We're going to put this in a book." You know, it's not for public. It's for like
for me.
You know, and it's for other people to find at one time. You know, and they'll say, "Oh, it's the lost poems" or whatever. You know, I mean, that's why I sometimes make drawings and art and all that. It's not really for what I'm always trying to put out. It's not my media, but it's something to dabble into and be kind of creative with, you know? So
no, I get it. Like it's just easier sometimes to have it to talk about the stuff in that other medium.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say to that, like I've found that, you know, I have scripts to make with Matt, I have scripts to make with Taylor, I have scripts to make with Lou, I have so many scripts that other people write that, in my opinion, at this point, might be better than what I could write. And that's not me going, oh, I can't write. That's just me saying, you know, to Matt's point, it could take me a long time to write a script just because, again, I want it to be the best that it possibly can be. So I've found that, and I've only started it recently, but found that possibly writing narratives into books as opposed to writing them into scripts at the start, at least I have an outline for something later on, and seeing if I could actually do something with it well, I'm making scripts that have a deeper meaning to them. That I at least I feel that way. But I totally understand the finding another medium in order to get your work out there is a good thing to me.
I mean, sometimes things aren't good as movies. Sometimes things are better as books. Sometimes, like, they're better as songs. You know, you just gotta.
Hi, Jess.
Hi, honey. Favorite goal in the chat.
But sometimes you just gotta. That's the difficult part. How am I going to put this out? Like, I had a dream one time, and I was like, "Oh, I want to make a short film about this," and I'm like, "No, that wouldn't work." So I just made a painting. So that's what the medium that's the media that I chose. You know, and that's half the battle. You know.
Yeah, different mediums empower different stories. You know, there's benefits to each and every one of them. For me right now, you know, I think script writing, screenwriting is what comes most naturally to me. But eventually, I do want to work my way to writing that first novel. You know, I want to get everywhere. You know, I want to write a video game someday. You know what I mean? Like, I want to find that story that would work in an interactive format. And even within the context of the film, you know, I want to play with genre. I want to have a diverse body of work at some point. And genre stuff's what comes naturally to me. So when I hear, you know, Matt's writing this personal thing, you know, I've got kind of a shattered diamonds about, you know, I envy the ability to pick out those more personal stories, those more grounded stories. And I want to try to get to that eventually too, where my stuff's not about a monster or something. You know what I mean? There's a reason I host the horror movie show, because that's what appeals to me. But I want to eventually, in the same way that I hope personally to grow and mature and have a more open mind, a more progressive mind as life continues. I like work, you know, and creativity to reflect that too. And implement that in any medium that I can, whatever makes the most sense.
Right. Like I've written stuff just to work with people who I know I want to work with. Like, Nick, you read. I have a 2-page, like a shocker, a 2-page Star Wars script, and it's only 2 pages.
Yeah.
But it was written specifically to have an excuse to work with Matt, Kane, Johnny, Keith, and Jerry. Like that was the entire purpose of writing it, because they talked about, yeah, we want to test lightsabers one day, and it's like, well, hey, let me write this, and it's I just pulled it up. It's literally 10 lines of dialogue, because I wrote it as a way for them to show off the kind of stuff they do, which is their fighting and the martial arts, and giving them an opportunity to just show that side of them off, because all 4 of them are great fight choreography.
Right.
And sometimes, and that's another one of those things I used as a break to just refresh my mind, go a different direction before going back to Oreo, because especially with something as deep as what Oreo can be at times, because there are times where and Nick's read part of it, there are times where it's just a Kevin Smith movie, and there are times where it goes full on drama. And it's just one of those things where it helps refresh you and keep you writing in different genres, just so you're touching on different things, and it helps. So
and finding different people to work with is a real blessing, man. I mean, I count my lucky stars all the time that I got to meet Nick, and of course Connor's not here tonight, but I met those guys. When I did, we were just kind of reminiscing on that back in class and how it so randomly came together. But you know, look how meaningful it was down the road. Finding those different people who you can collaborate with and work with. I mean, that's for some that might be the tricky part, to find people who are mutually interested in those kinds of things. Hopefully, you know, social media and things like that will empower people to do it. But it really helps to find those people you can collaborate with, because like Nick was saying, you know, he's got ideas and maybe they aren't quite there to his quality of standard yet, but working with different filmmakers, different writers and producers, doing stuff with Johnny, you know, that's going to, I imagine, inform your experience, and you could come back to something you did earlier and go, now I have all these new ideas, this new wisdom, this new experience. Now I can get, you know, that's going to totally inform your body of work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's like I never I have a tendency to not say no, and it's a blessing, and it's not at the same time. Where I find myself willing to pretty much work with anybody just because I want to get that experience. And I can say that I've worked on such a wide variety of things and learned so much that I can bring to my own projects. But I find it to be interesting that a lot of you guys, when it comes to your writing, it seems to come from more of a somber tone. Like I find that my ideas that I want to make end up just coming to me randomly in the most weird situations. Like I was once listening to Knights of Sidonia by Muse, and then out of nowhere I'm going, what if like it was War of the Worlds, but it was like the Revolutionary War? And I'm like, where the hell did that come from? But that would be really sweet. And like I've had plenty of like just weird inspiration out of nowhere when it comes to like somebody, one of my teachers at CSU was drawing the guy from No Country for Old Men, and I'm like, well, that looks like a Muppet. So like, what if that happened?
Yeah,
and it's just like that's where my writing inspiration comes from.
Yeah.
Though I do have personal stories that I would like to be made into a script. I have a whole entire story about a kid who makes YouTube videos that would rather be invisible to the public and just share them to such an exclusive group. And that was kind of where, high school was for me, where if a wide variety of people saw the junk that I was making, it wouldn't have made my life a whole lot easier. But to friends, to Matt, to Lou, to everybody who I was making them for at the time, they're like, oh, well, this is just Nick being Nick. So I understand where it's coming from. You know what I mean? So like I have that script where it is from a personal level, but like, I was on the superhero game when I was at Tri-C writing the most obscure scripts that always ended up just getting like really weirdly dark out of nowhere when it came to my superhero scripts and building that universe up with a bunch of characters that, to Lou's point, nobody knew, and that's something interesting when it comes to filmmaking in general. It seems as though a lot more people would be more willing to touch, and I think that the times are changing with a lot more originality becoming successful when it comes to theaters. But it feels like a lot of people are more akin to going to something that they're more familiar with.
I was going to touching on how more and more original stuff is being made. That's because you're having the more people are realizing, oh, these more original films can be made on this small ass budget. Mm-hmm. And then when you get a company like A24, where they don't make a ton of high budget flicks, like if you look, they're like Blumhouse kind of, except Blumhouse with all artistic views rather than just strictly horror. Although A24 does a ton of horror, where it's just let's put these small budgets behind them, and then the movies go make 50 million plus, and it's profit. It's all profit.
Yeah. I do want to say real quick because Jessica was asking, and I think a couple people have just hopped on as well as far as our discussions tonight. It's been a couple of things. Lou brought the idea of film theory, and I think we're just kind of having an open conversation about creativity and the process and getting work done and made, and it's cool. It's kind of a more freeform conversation than we've had on the show before.
And honestly, Nick and I will test this. This is kind of originally why we made the show, because the show we used to do, and Taylor, you were on the early days of the show. You were the first guest on the show, for Christ's sake.
Right here, history.
You were the first episode of the show.
Yeah.
Where originally it was Indie Spotlight. We did a mini interview, and we still do the interview, but sometimes the interview takes place and that becomes a discussion. Like the episode we did with Keith a few weeks back. The entire episode is us talking to Keith and his filmmaking, how he does it, what he does, stuff like this. And we always wanted this to be a way to shine Indie Spotlight. I know I still want to get Scott Brocious on here. We've had Johnny on here. There are so many. When this show really started taking its turn into what we figured out what we wanted it to be, which is less on the news, more on the discussion, that happened because of an episode we were just doing with Matt Cain, where we were just going to do an indie spotlight, and then we threw it out the window because we were having such a good time talking with him.
Yeah, the entire thing was literally just talking. Hey, this is how he does things, and it's really.
And then we asked
that standpoint.
Yeah, and we asked for like his opinions. We did the movie news quickly, like we do, or like we try to do nowadays, and then focus more on like we were sitting there watching the Warriors lose in the finals with them last year. That was the episode. We held off on recording the episode to watch the Raptors beat the Warriors because we were just having that good of a time with them. And these are the episodes like they're episodes where it was just me and Nick where we end up just going on complete tangents, and those were always our favorite episodes.
Yeah, we had discussed and that was one of the things I was like, oh, this news is fun and it can bring up a lot of conversation. But the ones where we were just sitting there shooting the shark, I'm sitting on Matt's bed, Matt's sitting,
or we're sitting on the same couch you and Lou are sitting on right now.
Yeah, just talking, just going at it. It's just fun, to have a change of pace.
It helps bring up new ideas, or it helps create relationships. Because honestly, like Matt, whenever I have something action oriented, the first person I go to now is Matt Kane. If it weren't for that episode we did with him last year, I probably wouldn't feel as comfortable doing that because Matt's just that kind. Like he messaged me one day, because he knows I'm a big comics guy. I know he's got a project that he's working on currently. There's like, who do you think will win in this situation? I'm like, and I told him, like, wait, are you doing this kind of project? And he's like, yeah. And it's like, okay, that's awesome. I want to see it, and you get to form these relationships. I love talking to Keith about this stuff. Jerry, even though I don't get to talk to Jerry as much because he is busy with his family and whatnot, the times I have gotten to talk to Jerry, I love talking to Jerry. It's just one of those things. And like, it's why that one episode we started, that first 8 o'clock episode we did Indie Club before. It was to see some of these other people's creations. Like I know we made that do skit yesterday, and everybody's like, let's see how it turns out. It's like, however it turns out, I still want to release it because it was just made on a whim, just for dumb fun, because it was something to do and off of something that has been done in years past. And Nick's like, yeah, but it might be that. I'm like, okay, but hasn't the 2 previous episodes about how Saga and bad in their own certain ways? Like I remember the other night when we were watching it.
Perfect. Flawless cinema.
Rip.
But like I remember the other day we were showing Jessica the one with you and Connor, and he's talking about the loud Mountain Dew pour.
Yeah, it's all an artistic decision.
Yeah, just like what we did with Tom and Nick yesterday was just an artistic decision.
Oh yeah, oh no, I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that one bit.
This is why we don't ever. You'll see, but this is why we don't ever let me have ideas.
It's gold, baby. It's gold. It's gold. It's like sweet lightning.
I mean,
have that Parmesan cheese flavor in that 50 flavors of Liberty. Anyways, go on.
But like
everyone else will find out about that soon enough. I'm sure.
But like even yesterday, we went through like 5-6 different stories in a single day, going through possibilities. And if it weren't for us trying to prep for the shoot, probably would have stuck with one story. But we all drank a ton of dew and felt like garbage for a bit.
Yeah, it's what all film sets go through. You drink too much Mountain Dew and you get too tired and you just throw in the towel.
You don't throw in the towel. You're like, all right, we're all like feeling hit. So what are we gonna do now?
And it's pretty weird what came out of trying to go for the simplest version. It's pretty strange what came out of that. But yeah, no, you know what I mean? There's creativity in all things. I think, the channel working on this, there's a certain blend of creativity and ambition in doing that, which I felt especially lucky to be a part of going through all this quarantine stuff where I was stuck at home and, I'm not going to work. And I was like, you think you get all this free time and you're like, now I'm going to rock it. I'm just going to write so much, but it's not that easy. I was racking my brain. Like, why can't I should be killing this right now, but having this channel to work on and really scared and getting ready for all this stuff and the time and the project aspect and all the prep and research and everything. Plug Master. It's been great being a part of this, and I think being a part of something and collaborating again, like I was saying earlier, collaborating with people, it becomes this rich, diverse experience, and I think creatively we'll all come away stronger from it. That's come away. I say it like we're going to end it or something, but being a part of it, we'll all become stronger as a part of it creatively. So it's in all things, I
was about to say, even in our group chats, we end up having discussions like, all right, how can we build more? How can we go forward doing things? And all that kind of stuff. And it's what helps keep the creative juices flowing. Mm-hmm. Like, I have Star Wars stuff all over the place, but I'm a geek. I also have a Chocolate Frog here, an Old Forester, and a Thor hammer. Like, I'm that kind of guy who I'm just literally the living incarnation of all things geeky. But I'm okay with that, and that's who I am. And granted, does my writing skew towards that way at times? Oh, hell yeah. I have no issue admitting it. Like, the world's finest project I was working on was literally a build-up to what I thought could be a better Batman versus Superman with a tie-in to the Red Hood saga. That's what that entire thing was.
I was Joker.
It was you or Tim Hale. That was what it was coming down to.
I was Tim Hale?
No, you're going to be Joker.
You or Tim Hale were going to be Joker.
You're very excited about it.
Oh, me being the Joker.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I think you wanted me to be the Riddler.
Yeah, I wanted you to be the Riddler. But yeah, it's like one of those.
Penguin.
Mr. Freeze.
You were. I don't think you were anyone.
Oh
wow.
The question.
He's gonna be the question. No.
He's Kite Man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Nick's face. No,
I was Nightwing. That was what I was.
Oh.
But it's one of those things where that was one of those things that helped get my creative juices flowing, because I was trying to collaborate with people I knew, and that's like, all right, what characters you like, and getting an idea of what each person's idea of the character was. I was going back and watching Batman the animated series. I was going back and watching the DC films just to get an idea, and that's, once again, you were just talking about research. That was how I was researching that kind of stuff. Like, I watched Batman forever. I did not watch Batman and Robin. I refused to watch Batman and Robin. And unfortunately, I had to sit through that today, Taylor, so hey.
It's good movie.
Had to sit through it. You had the privilege of viewing it. That's what you had.
No. But
you never know, though. That's what I'm saying. You never know where the inspiration is going to come from. You don't even think that's why you're watching something or doing something, and you just have that light bulb moment. You watch a terrible ghost hunting reality show, and boom, you got your first short film a year later. You never know.
You watch the hate you give, and you have a 100 and some odd page script 4 years later. That was before you saw the hate you give was only 2 pages.
You have Nick come up to you during a party and says, "Hey, I'll make a film with you," and then you just say, "All right, bet," and then you start writing that night.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say you eat a crappy plate of liver and onions, and out of nowhere, you make art. True story. Yeah. I mean, we'll never regret telling anybody to just do it.
Yeah,
we make it, because I will literally make anything, and raised liver and onions is clearly.
And I know everybody has their different views on how you go about making things, and like Alok told us, Alok's like Johnny's view is keep making shorts until you have an idea. Alok was make a short and then throw yourself into the fire and do a feature, because that's the only way you're going to get better. I
firmly disagree with that standpoint. That's just my personal opinion.
I mean, personally,
I would have fought him on that if I was. So you just be lucky that I wasn't.
Come back next month. I'm really scared.
Next month.
But I think we'll see. I don't feel like we haven't officially confirmed that, but
August 20th. August 20th, because I'm pretty sure
that tweet was pretty clear.
Yeah, that tweet was clear. But
I'll make sure to lock that in with him personally.
Yes, but it's that kind of stuff, and I kind of agree with him, because a feature gives you more trial by fire.
I personally believe that if you have a story and it ends up being a feature, so what? It's a feature, Like, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, With a Shattered Diamond, I mean, I didn't expect it to be a short, but it just turned into a feature, and I was like, all right, cool.
You said you didn't expect it to be a short, and it turned into. You mean you didn't expect it to be a feature, and it turned into a feature?
Well, like I didn't expect it to be really anything. You know, I didn't have.
It was very different from its
Yes.
original conception
it's-
because like the story and like you know, we all have our insecurities when it comes down to it. And I was like, listen, and if it was the original idea, who knows what would have happened. But I was like, if I didn't like the script, I wasn't going to make it. And it was fantastic from what I was delivered the first time.
Yeah, and I was like, the first draft of it, the first ideas would require so much more research, and just I was not ready for the research. Like I didn't want to go into that, and I don't think that it would be an interesting story. And I didn't know if I could even talk to people about that. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this into about me and me only. Well, that I take that back. But
There's 6 characters.
yeah, there's 6 characters.
I doubt it's all just you.
It's all just me. But like it. I mean, I have this. Of course, I have this theory of. I have it written on my wall. Every single character in a story is one side of an ever flipping coin. The writer, you know, every single character is a side of you. That's how I write, and I just decided, you know, I want to write a story about me and about my experiences, and that's why I threw out the more fantastical script that I really wasn't sure about. I just said, you know, this isn't going to be it, so I'm going to write more personally.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm happy with what it turned into.
I mean, shit. I know I still want to write that chick flick with Taylor that I pitched to him like a year and a half ago from my film appreciation class for a project she had us to do, and I'm like, Taylor, this one's for me and you. This is what we're gonna write. This. He's like, all right, I guess let's try. But
Nothing wrong with a rom-com.
What was the genre?
chick flick, basically.
Oh, so like Colonel Harlan Sanders? Are we talking?
No.
About?
So
So
in my
like
film,
one of those
hold
shit tracks.
on.
That's
So,
like
no.
Dark Dungeons.
in my film appreciation class, what she had us do to drill something to teach us something once is we were split into a couple groups, and we chose a card out of this group of 5 from our hand, and then we had to craft a story around these 2 character descriptions that we were given, and we were only given the character descriptions. We weren't given the race. It was just like what they do for a living, their name, and that was really it. We had to craft. Ours there were these 2 women, both in their mid-30s. One was a stay-at-home mom, and the other was like this high-end museum curator or something. Oh yeah, and we had to decide who we were going to cast and who we were going to cast. And in my group, we chose like Anne Hathaway and Brie Larson.
I remember this.
Yeah. Brie Larson was a stay-at-home mom, and Anne Hathaway was the curator who had issues keep staying in a relationship, and they had this unlikely friendship and so on and so forth. I'm like, this is something that like I've heard with Taylor and his Cosmopolitan at the time. I was like, I think Taylor would be like the perfect person to write this with. So I was like, yeah, I want to write that with Taylor, and I told him that. So
Love a good rom-com once in a while. Nothing wrong with that. Totally take you up on that. Wrote a feature-length film in quarantine about a man that survives a plane crash and lives alone on an island who has a volleyball as a companion. I think it has blockbuster potential.
I think you need to do a little bit of research.
Don't give up on it. Don't give up on it.
Never give up.
You might want to change the volleyball to a different ball, but we'll see what happens.
Tennis ball.
And the plane to like a boat or something, but
Make it about a volleyball who crashes on an island and befriends a man.
a man has been stuck on this island. But no, it's just that kind of.
I'm the captain now.
Yeah, it's that kind of stuff, and this we've gone over 2 hours, so hey, I was not expecting that, but yeah, it's granted we spent a lot of time talking about the writing side of things rather than just all film theory, but I'm not upset about it because
Let's do this again.
Yeah, no, well, I said it before we actually started. I wanted to do these more often, but yeah, it's just one of those things. But yeah, I think that's where we're.
Yeah, sure. Get on board. I know Jessica knows about romance. You can make it happen.
But yeah,
and also I want to hear about this murder story sometime. Let's get back. Let's investigate that.
Yes.
I want to hear about this feature-length script that my girlfriend is pitching.
It's called Castaway.
Oh,
really? I hope Tim Allen is in it.
There you go.
All right, guys. But with that, I think we're going to call it a night. Thank you for coming on in and checking out our little show. Remember, like, subscribe, follow, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Remember, the plug master over there, over there. Those two knuckleheads down there. And me, I'm Matt. That's Taylor. That's Taylor.
Right here.
I'm so used to being on the other side. That's why I'm getting
Wilson.
Yeah, and then we got Nick and Lou down there.
I'm Lou.
And this is another Who Are They Real Entertainment production.
Good night, guys.
Peace.